Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Hilla Version Podcast. I am your host, Deborah, and yeah, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I am recording this episode for y'all. Man, I pulled a muscle or something in my shoulder, y'all. I wasn't even gonna give y'all an episode this week because your girl was in pain. So I took me some pain medicine. I went to sleep, and now I'm up and I can't go back to sleep. And I was like, that must means I gotta get up and record this episode because I can't skip another week. I've already skipped a week. Um, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I am really thinking about going to every other week with these episodes. I just have not made a decision as to whether or not that's what I want to do. Because school starts this week. Not this week. What I'm talking about. School starts this month for me and the kids. I have a couple of projects I'm working on. So y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm gonna go based off of what y'all want. Because I don't mind giving y'all an episode every week. It is what it is. I got a whole lot to talk about. I got years worth of things to talk about with y'all. But thank y'all for coming back again. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's get into this episode on daddy issues. So, a little bit about what's been going on in my life, what I've been up to. Since the last time I talked to y'all, which was what, last week? What have I done? Nothing besides work. I am working on a home project. I'm going back to my old work area. So, if you've been to my house, like, I have a finished basement. I have like lots of space in my basement that's not being used. When they first sent us home during the pandemic, I set up shop as far as my office and my workspace for working from home down in the basement. But the job that I was working was a very high stress level job. And it was one of those jobs where you can just work around the clock. You don't have to pull away. You don't have any set breaks or lunches. You're just like there and people are emailing you. And it was really, really stressful. So, down in the basement, there's no windows. It's just no windows in that area, in that huge area. But anyway, I said all that to say that I could tell it was taking a toll on me because I'm a nature girl. I love window. I love sunlight. I love being able to look out the window and just, connect with nature. And that is a stress reliever for me. So I decided to move my office up to my bedroom. And I've been in my bedroom for probably a little over a year now. And I became very productive, in my room and being able to have this window right here and all of that. However, I am working with a new company, and it is a more structured role. So I am able to take my breaks and my lunches, and they're set for me, and I can get up and go walk outside, or have my break and do whatever I want to do, and have my lunch and it's just more structured is my point. So I've decided that I want to move back down to my workspace in the basement. And then also, I feel like mentally it's time for me to do that because right now I'm working in my bedroom. And so there's really not a separation of, okay, we're in the bedroom, it's time to relax. This is just your space of, peace. Because my office is right there. So I find myself sitting at my desk a lot. So I feel like for my mental and just moving forward, it just makes more sense to move it back downstairs. So that's what I'll be doing within the next week. And then we have our vacation coming up. The kids and I are going on vacation, and I'll be sure to share how that went with you guys whenever we come back. But other than that, I ain't been having too much going on. Getting these kids ready to go back to school and planning for a vacation all at the same time. So yeah, my stress level is a little high, but it's going to be okay because once I get on this vacation, it's a whole week. I'm going to enjoy myself. But thank you guys for being here another week, and let's go ahead and get into this episode. Parents' relationships are one of the most important, I feel. I feel that being there for your child, loving, nurturing, caring for your child is very vital in their well being. And when a child lacks a relationship with either their mother or their father, I feel that it affects them in a negative way. So, this episode is highlighting around me and the lack of a relationship with my father, not having a father figure growing up, not having a father figure in my adulthood. And some people might be like, why you need a father figure now? Ask somebody who has an active father who's been there since they were a child and now that they're an adult. So, I just want to be very clear that this episode is not to bash my father or to make him look bad. Um, but the purpose of this episode is to help someone, whether it be a father who does not have a relationship with his children or a child who's thinking of mending a relationship with a parent. I know for me, not having my father in my life, it affected a lot of my choices when it came to relationships with men. Because growing up, my father lied a lot to me and my siblings about different things as far as like buying things for us and not keeping his promise. And it really affected me in a way to where I just did not trust men, because that was the male relationship that I held so deep to my heart. And to have that relationship be one that was so diabolical. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, why people keep saying diabolical? Like, who taught y'all that word? But I just feel like not having a stable relationship with my father and not having him be there for me in a way that I feel a father should be there for his children, it made me, like I said before, trust men. Like, I didn't trust men. And then it also affected me in a way to where that abandonment wound I feel was created. And so, a little backstory about my father and how I even met him. I'm too young, or I was too young to know, like, for sure what happened, but apparently he didn't meet me until I was 1. And they said he picks me up, and I slapped him in his face. And I'm just thinking, like, as a girl, I was like, who is this strange man picking me up? Like, why are you picking me up? Like, who are you? Why are you touching me? I don't know you. Because, when you're 1, you're pretty much familiar with your people, like the regular people who's around you, your mom, your siblings, your dad. But here's this strange man picking me up, and I don't know who he is. And I'm like, I slapped him, rightfully so, because I don't know. I feel like that's a little wild to not see your child until they're 1. And don't get me wrong, I don't know what the dynamic of the relationship was with he and my mom. But like, that's something else I just want to highlight in this episode is like, we got to stop procreating with people who we don't see ourselves spending the rest of our lives with. If I could go back, I definitely would want to be married before having children and only have children with my husband. And I just want to put this out there. I'm not blaming my parents for the way that I went about having children and the fact that I have two baby fathers. But I do want to say that not having a positive female to male relationship, not being in a two parent household ever, and by two parent household, I mean like my mother and father having a healthy relationship under the same roof, not being, I'm not saying like I haven't seen healthy relationships, but I just feel like when it's your mom and your dad and they're in the household together and they have a healthy relationship, it just hits different than your mom and your stepdad. And no shade to the stepdads out there. I know there are a lot of great step parents, and shout out to y'all for being there and stepping in and taking on that responsibility. Especially in those cases where the biological parent is just absent. So a little bit about just growing up without a dad. Like I have very I don't know. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but all the memories that I have, like when it comes to having a relationship with my dad, was like not good ones. So I remember as a teenager, he came and got me because he knew I needed a car. So I knew how to drive or whatever. I was learning how to drive. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to take you to the auction. We're going to find you a car and, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, cool. So we go, we find a car. We don't get it right away, but he's like, okay, this is the car you want. I'm gonna get this car for you, so that you can have transportation back and forth to school. Long story short, he ended up getting the car and giving it to me, but things were not going the way he wanted it to go, like between my mom and him. So he took the car from me. And I feel like that was the play on a lot of the things that he did for me and my brothers and sisters. Like if something wasn't going right between him and my mom, like we had to deal with like whatever the consequences was. And I think that's so unfair to do to your children. I feel like when you are done with the other parent, when y'all are not together, it's not working out, whatever the reason is that the two adults are not getting along, the children should never be getting the butt end of whatever tarnished relationship that you and the other parent have. Like the children shouldn't have to deal with the fact that you don't like the dad anymore or the fact that you don't like the mom anymore. Like they have nothing to do with that. And I feel like we were put in the crossfire of that, and it's completely unfair. But again, this is not me being here to bash either of my parents. It is simply me highlighting the fact that I feel like a lot of my abandonment issues come from the fact that I didn't have a stable relationship with my father. And yeah, so I remember that the car situation, then just not having him come through and do any of the things that he said that he would do. Like he would make promises and he wouldn't keep them. So very, very early on, I decided that I was cool on him. I didn't trust men because of how he was, because this is my father. If my father is not going to be coming through on his promises and doing what he said he's going to do, surely all men are the same. And that was my mind frame as a young child and also as a teenager. So as a young adult in my early 20s, I kind of carried that into my relationships. I feel like within the last 3 or 4 years is really when I started maturing when it comes to men and just really realizing, okay, all men aren't the same. Some men actually do the right thing by their children, and they actually come through for their kids. They actually love on them. But when I think about my dad, I think about the fact that he had both parents in the household. And I just can't wrap my mind around a man receiving love and care and just all the things that he had in his household, having like that two parent household, and then ended up being a deadbeat. Excuse my language. But I also have to realize the fact that I don't really know the dynamic of the relationship between him and his parents. And that's something else that I know just like solidifies the fact that I'm maturing, because I look at my parents' relationships and how they like drop the ball with me and my siblings, and I have to think like, what could they have gone through as children or teens or young adults that has like messed them up in a way that they can't be the best parent, or they were not the best parent that they could be, or what resources did they lack to where they couldn't live up to their full potential as a parent. And I guess I've never really sat down with my dad and like got the full gist of his childhood, but from what I know, he had a decent childhood. Like I said, with both parents in the household. So I can't imagine. And my grandfather was amazing. Like when it comes to a father figure, I just remember him being like exactly what a father figure is supposed to be. Even stories from my mom telling me how he would come through and like bring groceries and pay bills and just like do things because my dad was out running the street making more babies with other women. My grandfather, his dad, had to step up and like help take care of us. And he died when I was a teenager. But between the time that I first known him until he took his last breath, he was an amazing man to us. So I can imagine that he was just this amazing grandfather and was an amazing father. But again, I don't know what the dynamic of the relationship was within the household with my dad and his parents. But I just want to say that if you are a father, you're a mother, and you don't have a decent relationship with your child for whatever reason, I challenge you to look within and just figure out like why is it that way? Like why do you not have that decent relationship with your child? And children, I ask you to do the same, even as an adult. Like, look within and see, like, what is the reason that you don't have a decent relationship with a parent. Now, this is something that I did some years ago. I didn't like that me and my dad didn't have a decent relationship, so I took upon myself to try and have a relationship with him. I can remember I started going around and taking the kids over his house and just, trying to have a relationship with him. I'd call him on the phone, and just be like, hey, I'm just calling to see how you doing, what you got going on, I love you, that type of thing. And I remember this one time, like this was a consistent thing for me. I tried to be consistent because, mind you, my whole life I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. So I took the initiative, to be the person to build on our relationship and make sure that we had a decent one. So one day I decided to call him and I'm like, hey dad, just call him, normal. What's up? How you doing? What you got going on? And I don't know who must have pissed him off this day, y'all, but he was immediately like, what do you want from me? What, like, I don't have anything to give you. Like, y'all kids always calling me when y'all need something. Now, mind you, I had only been calling him to see how he was doing and to check on him and to just let him know I love him and just really trying to have the relationship that I never had with him. And when he said that to me, it really hurt my feelings. And it hurt my feelings in a way that now today I'm just like, if he wants to have a relationship with me, it's going to be up to him. So I said all that to say that if you do have one of those situations where you've tried to have a relationship with your child or parent and they're just not budging, and I'm talking about adult relationships. I'm not talking about you not having a relationship with your teenager or not having a relationship. Like, that's a whole nother story. But if you've tried with those relationships and the person is like pushing you away and they don't want to have a relationship, the best thing you can do about is pray about it. I am not an advocate for forcing relationships, no type of relationships. I don't care if it is a parent or a child. I'm not forcing a relationship. If you want to have a relationship with me, I'm open to having a relationship with you, but I'm not going to force it. So so I after he said that to me, I stopped calling. Like, I didn't call, check on him anymore. I was done because it really it opened up that abandonment wound again, because I've always felt abandoned by him. I always felt like he wasn't there for me. And then to have him to kind of like push me away in a sense, it really, really messed with me because I couldn't understand, like, why would you like treat me like this? Like, man, you got a track record for however long we was like building on this relationship. I'm calling you. You're not even calling me to check on me and see how I'm doing. I'm the one taking the initiative. And for whatever reason, somebody else, one of your other kids called and pissed you off or is asking you to do stuff and you don't want to do it. You don't have to take that on me. And that goes back to boundaries. Like, when you don't have clear boundaries and you're not set on your boundaries, it becomes overwhelming, and you can take your frustrations and your angers out on other people who don't deserve it. So I said all that to say that if he and I build on our relationship, it's going to be up to him to take the initiative. I've done my part, I feel, to go ahead and take the initiative, and it worked for a little bit and then it didn't anymore. And it is something that I pray about. I just don't see me putting myself out there again to get my feelings hurt, because I don't know how I may react the next time. I might, I don't know what I might do. So I'm not going to put any negativity into the universe. I'm just going to say that, Dad, if you listen to this episode and you feel the need to have a relationship with me and my children, the door is open. I will leave that up to you to do. Yeah, I'm open to it. I'm not closed off as I was years ago after the situation. But yeah, I'm open to it. One of the things that I absolutely love is when I see a father and a daughter relationship and it's just like really healthy, and like the father is like loving on his daughter and he's just like, those type of relationships, they just like they heal that wound that I have, that daddy issue wound. Like, when I see that, I have like guy friends and they'll be like loving on or talking to their daughters or like being very nurturing and using that very sweet tone, and and it's just always like makes my heart smile. And I always express it like, that's so beautiful. Like, I love the relationship that you have with your daughter. It's and then for the men that like are like pursuing me in a dating thing, like when they have really good relationship with their daughter, like, that's so attractive to me. And not to say or discount a relationship between a father and his son. I just feel like for me, because I lack that relationship with my father, that it really heals me to see that healthy, loving, nurturing father daughter relationship. I've always desired that. One thing about it though, I've never been like envious of it. Like, I've never seen a father and a daughter relationship and it was a healthy one. I'd be like, ugh. why she gotta have a good relationship with her dad. It's always made my heart, like, always made my heart happy. Just always, it's like it heals something in me. Like every time I see one of those relationships. I was on TikTok this week, and there was this guy, and he had like his newborn daughter. She had to be like 2 to 3 months old. Maybe she was a little older. I'm gonna say probably about 5 months old, because she was like really in tune with him. And he was singing to her, and he was like holding her, and he was just like talking to her, and she was just soaking it all in, y'all. She had the biggest smile. She was so happy, like. And I was reading through the comments, and all the women were just like, never leave her side, like, always be like this to her, like, just and I'm just like, she is taking this all in. She was so in tune with him. I like, completely beautiful relationship. I love it. So again, to any of the fathers out there, if you do not have a active relationship with a daughter and she is willing to have that with you, I strongly suggest, as the parent, to open up and have that relationship with your child. It is so important. It is such a vital relationship. And I don't like to point blame, but I will say this, and I'm going to leave with this, and this is going to be in conclusion. Maybe, maybe not. But I feel like my relationships with men is a direct reflection of the lack of having a father figure. And what I mean by that is, a lot of the men, if not all the men that I've decided to give my time, my body, my attention to, is a direct reflection of not having a father figure. I feel like when you, and not to say that this is like set in stone, but I feel like when you have a father figure, that you are less likely to end up with men who aren't protectors, who don't have your best interests, who just want sex, especially as a teenager, and not having a father be there when you are going out on dates, going to prom, going to homecoming, not having a father there to tell you, hey, this is how boys think, this is what boys want, be mindful of this. And not to say that all boys are like that, but I feel like you need to have your father there to tell you about those things, to have an eye out, to just let you know, like, these are situations, these are the type of men that are out there, and just, guard your heart, be careful, look, and like I talked about this on a previous episode, where my dad didn't meet my oldest children's father until the night of my graduation, and he tried to check him, and it was comical, because, like, what, like, why is you trying to check this man? Like, we live together, like, we've been together for quite some time now, and this is your first time meeting him, and now you're trying to poke your chest out and scare him. Like, no, we're not doing that. But I feel like if he was there, if my father was there, and he played a role in my dating life and actually put me on game, I feel like I would have chose different partners, but I wouldn't have the children I have, and they're so wonderful, and I love them so much. So everything happens for a reason. I feel like the everything that we go through, the children that we have, the parents that we have, they're all part of the plan that we're supposed to be in, to learn the lessons that we're supposed to learn in order to become the person that we're supposed to be and be our best selves. So I thank y'all for coming this week and listening to me. I'll talk about this more on future episodes, because I am going to be doing a series on dating, and I don't like to say that, oh, my parents and my dad and them, like, they have everything to do with my dating life, because they do, but they don't. Like, I'm one of those parents, like, I'm putting I'm putting my kids on game, especially the daughters. Like, I have one daughter and I'm putting her on game when it comes to men, when it comes to relationship, when it comes to those things. Like, I'm putting her on game. So I said all that to say that be on the lookout for my series on dating. If you want to come on and talk about dating with me, just let me know and we'll set something up. But again, thank you guys for being here and listening to my episode on daddy issues. I appreciate you. Thank y'all for coming back for another episode of the Healing Version podcast. Make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure that you like and subscribe. If you have anything that you want me to talk about or you want to come on, you can text me, call me. You can also email the Healing Version at gmail.com. The Facebook is the Healing Version and the Healing Version podcast. Instagram is the Healing Version. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for being here. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I hope it helps somebody somewhere. I love y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Peace.